This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome to the Elevate Construction Podcast, where we encourage radical transparency. My name is Jason Schroeder, and today's podcast is about contractor grading systems. Please use these to share with others on your projects to communicate concepts. Why not share with your trade partners to improve their performance? So let me ask you this question. Why would you want to listen today? Do you want to elevate performance on your project amongst all of the different contractors? Do you dislike stressing about problems by yourself when you're dealing with the performance of other contractors? Do you want to create collective accountability amongst all of your trade partners? Have you ever wanted to learn a magic trick? Well, if you do, then today's podcast is for you because this works like magic everywhere it's taken seriously. So let me give you a quote. You can't manage what you can't measure. I know that everyone hears that all the time, but it's real. We really do have to measure things so that we can manage them. So let me tell you a story. One of the best things we ever did at the research laboratory was grade contractors. I went to an AGC lean training, and in that training, they talked about grading contractors for collective performance. They said it was used in lean IPD environments and that some contractors had been trying it. I was like, hey, sounds like a good idea. So went back to the job site, came up with a series of questions of grading criteria, and I named it Jason's Trade Partner Grading System. I put my name on it because I didn't want to get the company in trouble that I worked for currently at the time, and I just went for it. So I said, I'm going to grade all of you, and I said that to the trade partners. I'm going to grade all of you on a weekly basis according to the expectations of this project and what the owner and the architect and we expect, and that I'm going to publish that grade to everyone. People didn't really take me seriously, but after the next couple of weeks, they saw that this was a real thing, and they started to pick up on the fact that the weekly schedule update emails that I would send to everybody, to the owner, to the presidents of companies, to the project managers for the trade partners, everybody on site, I would send these weekly schedule updates. I would have the grading systems in there, and there were grades that said A, B, C, D, F, D, and there were a lot of low-scoring grades. Once people started seeing this and it became a visual system, they started to respond and do better. I remember putting it up on the board in the conference room. We also had a circle of trust, which I'll talk to you about. And there were certain trade partners that just took it upon themselves to understand what the grading criteria was and basically step it up. There were other contractors that ignored it for a while until their project manager or their owner called and said, what do we have to do to get this grade up? I don't like the fact that everybody is seeing these grades, and they worked with their foreman, their superintendents to fix it. Then I had other people that would wait quite some time, and we started hounding them a little bit about their bad grades. And actually one person, the vice president of a company, came down, drove all the way from Phoenix to Tucson, and I thought she was going to beat me up. Like I was pretty intimidated. She was mad, and she was like, wait a minute, you're telling me we got an F? My foreman's saying we got an F. Why are you giving us an F? And I'm like, well, here's what the grading criteria is. And she looked at me and said, well, that's pretty simple. Why aren't we doing that? I said, I don't know. Would you please talk to your foreman? Because I can't get it done. Please help me out. I'm going to go talk to him right now, she said, and marched out to the project site, came back and said, this will never happen again. I will not see these bad grades. I've talked to my foreman. I'm like, thank you. This is amazing. So after the first couple of months, all of the F and D players rose up to like A's and B's, and there was one F player that only ever got to a C. But I think having a bunch of folks that were D and F players on non-subjective grading criteria is pretty remarkable. And let me tell you a part of the story that I thought was pretty neat. We used to have foremen do their own safety walks. So we had printed forms, and it was a weekly foreman safety walk, and they would go out on the project site and do observations. And I was having a heck of a time getting those turned in. So I added that to the grading system. And then the next week I had like, I don't know, it was an insane amount because all the leadmen and foremen and sub-foremen started doing these things. I probably had like 35 papers. And the problem that I had then was I had to have the office manager, the field and office coordinator, help me collect and distill down that information and the feedback and the safety items from the foreman because there were too many papers for me to look at. Whereas before I didn't even get one. I didn't get those things because it wasn't an expectation and I wasn't clear and I wasn't holding people accountable. So that's my story, and it was remarkable. Now, there was a time in that particular story where I got in trouble because I would grade our own self-perform, and when they got a bad grade, that would go to our owner. I mean, I copied it to everybody. I even copied it to our customer on site. And some people balked at that, and they're like, wait a minute, you're making us look bad. We can't have that. I'm like, wait a minute. We have to all be under the same grading criteria. What are you talking about? Obviously, we're going to grade ourselves. And I got a lot of pushback, but I held strong. And then they raised their score up to an A, and it wasn't an issue anymore after that because it was collective accountability. It was visual. Everything was brought to the surface. Now, real quick, some people would be like, well, I don't like that. That's like tattletelling or being negative or whatever. I don't think there's anything negative about performance. I don't think there's anything negative about the team working together towards common goals. I don't think there's anything negative about group accountability. I don't think there's anything negative about scoring. I don't think there's anything negative about this because we have an obligation to do what's right for each other on the site. And what better way to do that, to hold each other accountable to that, than make it a visual system? I think bad trade partners, or subcontractors rather, is what I'll say, that don't take care of other contractors. They don't pull people into their areas. They don't clear the way. They don't do good things for other people on the project. They don't optimize the project as a whole. They like it when the systems aren't working. They like it when we don't have flow. They like it when we don't have grading systems because all of their follies are hidden. Nobody can see it. Nobody can call them out. They can hide. They don't have to be accountable, and there's no problem. So think about that. When you start to create flow systems on site, grading systems on site, rules on site, standard systems on site, and you have contractors complaining about it, those would be the same contractors that are the non-accountable ones that would have caused issues for other people. And I often reflect back to tact planning. And maybe this is too off topic, but I don't think it is. When we do tact planning, meaning like we'll take the interiors or the exteriors of a project and put it on a flow, in pre-construction, inevitably somebody will come by and say, oh, you've got us coming and going and coming and going to the project site, and we're going to charge you extra for that. Okay. And so we have to get through those negotiations. Whereas if we hadn't properly shown the current condition on the tact plan, that would have been hidden. That waste would have been hidden. They would have just had to deal with it. And there are contractors that once you're in a flow on the project site will start complaining about having to maintain that flow because they used to historically like to be on a project where it's just hit and miss, do the best you can, go over here, go over there. And they're not held accountable to meet a certain production rate and be in certain areas in a flow. And so they don't like that system because it forces them to actually run in a flow, run in a sequence, and give work to other contractors instead of being lost and hidden in the chaos. So this is kind of the same thing. You will have contractors that don't like grading systems. That's great. Maybe we want to rethink hiring them in the future, or maybe we just need to give them a chance to repent and to go do the right thing out there on the project site. So here are the principles. Again, I will tell you, I got this from an AGC lean training. I've tried this for years now. It works every time. I can't find any negatives to the system, so please know that this is a proven system. So here's how it works on site. So you come up with grading criteria on the site, and you decide to measure non-subjective things, meaning you can't measure things that are your opinion. You can't say, oh, I don't like this contractor, or they've upset me, or, whatever. You have to measure hard data. You have to measure things that are a yes or a no, or can be counted, or can be substantiated, so that people know that they're in a standard system. And I'll give you a list of those things now. So the first thing that I will mention is the standard items that I typically use. You can use your own grading criteria, but these are things that are important to me. And I think that my recommendation is use things that create standardization and stability on site. And especially use grading systems to make sure that you don't have overburden or unevenness or waste in your superintendent's schedule. One of the main things that we want to do is create capacity in the schedule of your lead superintendent, in their personal organization, in their workload, so that they don't have to be babysitting. They can be out there leading like a good military general. And the best way to do that is to stop babysitting. So here's the criteria that I like to use. Have you had to be reminded to clean your areas on the project? What is your cleanliness score on a scale of 0 to 10? Have you impacted the campus or the neighbors negatively this week? Yes or no? Do all your crews have safety plans, JHAs, and pretest plans for daily work turned in by 8 a.m.? Yes or no? Are foremen and workers on time for huddles? Yes or no? Are deliveries scheduled, coordinated with management, and on time? Are materials and manpower ready for commitments this week? Are daily reports in by 8 a.m. every day? And you can also add things in here like rolling completion lists. You can also add in here safety inspections. You can add in here, are all of the workers showing up on site with orientation, OSHA 10, OSHA 30. Anything here that you really want to be stable should be on this grading system. And like I said, I was having a difficult time getting foreman weekly safety walks turned in. I put it on this grading criteria and it fixed itself within 1 or 2 weeks. So I hope this gives you a good example of the things that you might want to put on there. You need to tailor it to your style and what you want, but basically put anything you don't want to have to manage or push or worry about on this grading system. So when you do this grading, you can do it with the trade partners, which I recommend in 5 or 10 minutes, or you can do it with a team, or you can do it by yourself. But the key here is consistency. When you have people with low grades, you're just going to have to be very consistent with that. You're going to have to be very stable in your responses. You're going to have to stand strong, because when somebody comes up and says, hey, this is BS, I don't like that I got a bad score, you need to answer the question they should have asked. So the question they should have asked was, how can I get this back to a good score? You say, hey, this isn't an issue. This shows that we have a gap to fill. You can get a good score by doing ... And once you do that, you answer the question they should have asked, you can make progress here with these low grades. Now, when you have low grades, I recommend you post that in a circle of trust. And actually, it started to get remarkable for me when I had an A player list on the wall, just on a whiteboard, and an F player list. And in the middle, I would have circle of trust. So all of the continual A and B players I would put in the circle of trust, and it was like an honor to get in that circle of trust. And if you were out, the owner and everyone saw it, and it was a motivation to get back in, because it was a signal to the team that there was a problem and that one of the team members was letting everyone else down. So I would post the A and B players on a weekly basis on the A player side, and was getting pretty good results there. People were proud. It was a discussion in all of the meetings. And there were still a couple of F player stragglers in the first couple of months of implementing this. So I experimented with an F player board. So if somebody got an F, and I think there was no D's. It was either A, B, C, or F. There wasn't a D. So if you got an F, then I think that was the case. Anyway, just the bottom line is, if you were lower than a D, you got posted on the F player board. And when I started doing that, then the F players really rose to the occasion. They're like, I am not going to get my name on that board plastered out to everybody saying that I'm an F player. The other thing I would do is in the weekly schedule updates that I would send to the team and to our customers and to everybody that went out to everybody, I would have that grading score on there, and I would have some announcements. Here are the key items happening on site, how many days left to substantial completion. This is the number of rolling completion lists that we have. This is the grading system. This is the TAC plan. My email would be very entertaining, but one of the key things on there was the grading system, and we got lots of responses, lots of traction from that. So copy everyone. And when you do that, people really start improving because peer pressure is a real thing, and we should be accountable to each other on the job site. So the circle of trust is a recommendation. The A player list is a recommendation. So is the F player list. Get that up and running and you will be successful. Now, people will get mad, but you have to go back to the principle of respect, that if people aren't getting good grades, they're not respecting other trade partners. And that is what we have to do. Now, here's something that I've learned since I implemented that system, and it worked very, very well. And that is the general contractor grading criteria. Have them grade us first. Have them grade you first for a couple weeks or a month, and then start grading both ways. You grade them, they grade us. Now, if somebody gives a petty score and they're just mad for a couple of days, you're going to throw those scores out, right? I mean, we're not going to be ridiculous with this. This isn't a weapon, but you're going to take the averages, you're going to take the feedback, you're going to fix the things that the trade partners are saying you're not doing well. So here's a list of the grading criteria suggestions for them grading us. Are the bathrooms decent and well maintained? Is there an adequate lunch area provided? Is the general contractor responsive to any safety needs that are brought up on a continual basis and in the worker huddles? Is there a plan for the week and the day that is clearly identified and easy to follow? Does the general contractor try to reduce variation and impacts as much as possible? Is the site clean and organized? Are deliveries scheduled and material access ways planned for, kept clean, and the schedule enforced? Is the site visually managed well for all workers? Does the general contractor help me and my company succeed? Now, if you start doing that grading, it can be a system of reciprocity, meaning they know that they get to grade you, you get to grade them. It's an equal system. Everybody's accountable and there's no favoritism. Now, this really, really does work. And I will tell you, if you start doing this, will likely be surprised at what the answers are. You will likely be surprised at what the answers are, especially depending on what things you grade from the trade partners to you. You will notice that there are some low grades that you didn't expect, and there are some high grades that you didn't expect, and it will enable you to go out there and fix those things real time. So if you do this collective accountability and do this weekly, you will watch this improve your site. You will watch this improve your systems. And I really like it because it basically takes the burden off the superintendent. And especially when you're down to the last part of the project there, you don't have to be babysitting these things. If you keep up this weekly grading system, you don't have to constantly remind people, constantly go back and babysit, constantly shut down crews, constantly have to send nasty letters. This is a sustaining system, and we can go focus on finishing that project instead of babysitting throughout. So watch it improve. Watch your C's and D's and F players rise to the occasion. Watch them give you the things that they want. And remember that everyone really wants to do well. We have to, and I have a hard time with this, I'll be honest with you, assuming people have good intentions, that they're good, that people are naturally good, they have good intentions, they want to do well if they just knew how, and they will better be able to take care of you if you make sure that your expectations are clear. So the current condition right now in the industry is that issues are hidden. Without flow and without expectations and without good grading systems, issues are hidden. Contractors don't know how they're supposed to perform. There is no collective accountability. And the superintendent is using emotional currency to get certain things done and bearing the burden of most of the stress. So the challenge that I would like to give you is to identify what's important to you. Create a grading criteria. Grade people weekly and copy everyone. Make that a visual system. And I would also recommend you get a circle of trust on your wall and use that as a leader on your project. This can work on regular projects, on CM at risk projects, on design build projects, especially in IPD projects. Collective accountability is absolutely amazing, and it is one of the 5 big ideas of an integrated environment. So take that challenge, please. And here are some tips and tricks. Explain this to the trades first. Get them used to it. Let them grade us first for a while to see how the system works. The most important thing that you can do is to be consistent. Do it weekly and stay strong and do not yield. If you can stay strong and stay confident and get this system, then you will rise everybody to the occasion. Now, real quick, I want to close this out. I think this is really good content. I wish I could stretch it on a little bit longer and really, really sell it. There are very few people that do this. And I really am not insightful enough to know why. What am I doing wrong in my leadership and my training to where people don't do this? I assume that it's that people don't want to offend other people. And I do like that approach, that kindness, that thoughtfulness. I do like the fact that people are coming from a good place with that. But I think we have to go back to this concept of respect for people. What is the most respectful thing? To let F players on site affect the A players? I don't think so. The F players are stealing money, walking over and grabbing money from the A players' pockets from their wallet, thousands of dollars, just ripping it out of their wallet, walking away with no punishment, with no law and order with that. They're just burglars. They're stealing money and there's no accountability. And when we start grading people, we prevent people from being at the hoist at the wrong time, sending materials at the wrong time, leaving unclean areas, not pulling work behind them. We prevent safety issues. We prevent issues where foremen aren't showing up on time to meetings. We prevent materials from being there on time. In fact, one time somebody said, Jason, this grading system has fixed all of the field systems, but we still can't get procurement on time. And I'm like, well, why can't the office team start a grading system for the trade partners' office teams for their project management? And they did it. And it was pretty stinking remarkable because once somebody knows the expectations and there's visual accountability, this system works. So is it your job to go play savior with people that are not performing and you want to be nice to them and shield them from their consequences? Or is it the most kind, respectful, loving thing for you to do to protect the A players who are doing their best for you from the F players and make the F players rise? Now, we have to remember also that respect equals high expectations. And if we don't have high expectations of our trade partners, or if they're not performing, I'll call them subcontractors. If we don't have high expectations of that, then we are only doing them a disservice. We are only doing them a disservice, and we have to get back to respecting them, which means that we are going to have high expectations. I don't understand why somebody wouldn't want the system. If you do it, I promise you it will work. I also like to do scorecards sometimes for foremen. And you can rate them, you can grade them, or you can just have personal conversations. But here are some things that I personally on job sites expect from foremen. Be located in the job site trailers or on site full time. Bring materials to the site just in time. Enforce all of the safety rules from the project safety manual. Keep crew operations clean and organized 100% of the time. Do not wait until the end of the day. Do not let materials touch the ground, either new materials or trash. Spend time every morning teaching about the 8 wastes, 5S'ing, and lean concepts. Allow crews time every morning to get their day set up, clean, and to organize. Participate as a project team member in the last planner meeting system and in morning huddles. Encourage your crews to come up with lean improvement ideas. Maintain parking for your company and ensure there is no impact to the customer or the neighbors. Material deliveries for equipment and supplies will be posted in a visible location for the entire team to see. All deliveries will be scheduled per job site rules. And then there's 2 more. Every foreman supervising in the field will attend a pre-install meeting before commencing the feature of work and prepare for the meeting by reading all associated plans, specifications, and shop drawings. And then the last one that I had is the contractor will participate in phase planning sessions to develop the overall schedule to a level 4 schedule. Now, this is what I expect from foremen. And so what do? Do I leave it ambiguous? No, I list that out, I give it to them, and I make sure that everybody understands what the expectations are. There's another way. If you've heard me say the word trade partner versus subcontractor before and kind of wonder what I'm doing there, I've kind of gone rogue with my own definition, and you can do something similar yourself if you want, or whatever you want to do. But for me personally, I feel like there's a difference. We call trade partners our partners because there's a different level of teaming that we expect from people. So I also created this definition and shared it with our contractors on site when we were going through the meetings and the project and we were creating a culture. So here are the things that I had mentioned. Trade partners understand design is difficult and make provisions to work past it. Number 2, schedule together and try to understand the whole plan. They take ownership in the whole schedule. Number 3, they bring up concerns and solutions. Number 4, they go to other trade partners to coordinate and solve problems and only bring up to the GC when necessary. They help keep other companies accountable. Number 5, they solve their own problems when possible. Number 6, they try to learn lean practices. Number 7, they keep the project 100% clean all the time for their crews and areas. Number 8, they treat other team members like customers and appreciate them. Number 9, they follow the project rules and requirements. Now, under the term subcontractors, and for those people that use this term in a positive view, don't let me anger you. This was just my definition. When people ask me, Jason, why do you call us trade partners and not subcontractors? I'm trying to distinguish between old behaviors and new behaviors. So this is what I put. Number 1, they blame everything on design and never learn from job to job, or they learn little. Number 2, they schedule only their work and think little of what benefits the project. They rarely try to understand the schedule. Number 3, they complain about everything. Number 4, they always go to the GC to coordinate and expect them to solve their problems. They rely solely on the GC to keep everyone in line. Number 5, they always ask the GC to solve their problems. Number 6, they casually learn lean out of necessity, stick to old ways, and blame problems on the philosophy. Number 7, they need to be managed for cleanliness. Number 8, they work like they are an independent company without respect for customer service. Number 9, they are always looking to break the rules and find loopholes. Now, these are the behaviors that I was differentiating and grading us on. So I put that on a poster in the conference room so everybody knew what the project grading criteria was. Everyone knew what I expected from foremen and superintendents. Everyone knew what the difference between trade partner and subcontractor was on that project site. And please don't get mad at me. That was how I was trying to build a culture on that project site. I'm not saying the word subcontractor is bad. I'm not demonizing subcontractors. I'm saying I want all subcontractors to become my partner, trade partners on site. And if somebody's like, well, hold on a minute, that's a little bit forward, the feedback that you just gave, that list that you just gave. Well, hey, trades on site don't ever have any issue telling us what's going wrong. So here in this podcast, I'm going to give a little feedback the other way. We really need everybody to be participating in grading and performing and holding each other accountable all in the same light for the vision that we have a level playing field, that we have an environment where everyone can succeed, that we protect the A players on site, that we're spending most of our time with our best people and caring for them, that we are inviting F players to rise to the occasion, that there are clear expectations, and ultimately this allows us to make money, to install a quality product, to be on schedule, right, and to be safe. These are the things that will make for a remarkable, stable, respectful environment for the worker because we have trained leaders and that preserves family stability at home. We can affect hundreds and thousands of people's lives if we do this. So that's the vision. So until we meet again, I would encourage you to go explore this concept of grading contractors. Go write down your list of expectations. Go start grading them on a weekly basis. Make it visual and invite people to rise to the occasion. If you do that, I promise it will be remarkable. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.